Welcome back to Whimsey Woods Farm for the next animal to come to the farm. Well, folks, today I've got a story for you about a bull. A big, gentle bull named Mr. Timid. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Bulls are supposed to be loud, strong, and always charging around, right? Well, not this one. Mr. Timid isn't like the other bulls. He's quiet, kind, and, truth be told, just a little bit nervous. But don't worry, this story isn't about being the biggest or the loudest. It's about finding where you belong, even if you're a little different. Mr. Timid came from a place called Big Sky Ranch, where the bulls were as wild as the wind and as loud as a summer storm. The ranch was a busy place with lots of animals, big fields, and rancher Mr. John, who expected every bull to be bold and strong. But Mr. Timid? Well, he didn't quite fit the mold. You see, the other bulls at Big Sky Ranch loved to show off, kicking up dirt, charging fences, and making sure everyone knew they were in charge. But Mr. Timid didn't see the point in all that noise. While the other bulls were busy making a fuss, Mr. Timid preferred to spend his time under the shade of the apple trees, watching the clouds roll by. He liked the quiet things, like the cool breeze that rustled the leaves, the soft sound of the birds singing, and the way the apples would plop to the ground with a little thud. He didn't need to be the boss or the strongest bull around. He just wanted to enjoy the peace and take things one slow step at a time. But Big Sky Ranch wasn't a place for slow, gentle bulls. Rancher Mr. John needed bulls who could run fast and kick high. So one day, they decided that maybe Mr. Timid would be happier somewhere else. They knew of a place called Whimsey Woods Farm, where animals didn't have to be the fastest or the loudest. It was a place where everyone could just be themselves. And so, Mr. Timid began his journey to Whimsey Woods Farm. It was a long ride, but Mr. Timid didn't mind. He enjoyed the sights along the way. The tall grass swaying in the wind, the sparkling streams, and, of course, the occasional apple tree here and there. He wasn't in any rush. He knew that good things take time. When he arrived at Whimsey Woods Farm, the animals weren't quite sure what to make of him at first. I mean, how often do you see a bull as big as Mr. Timid acting so timid? But, as you'll find out, Whimsey Woods Farm has a way of making everyone feel at home. Now, the first animal to meet Mr. Timid was none other than Cluck Norris, the rooster. Cluck Norris runs a tight ship here at the farm. He puffed up his chest, strutted right over to Mr. Timid, and gave him a look that said, "You better not cause any trouble, big guy." But Mr. Timid? He just blinked slowly and gave a soft snort, as if to say, "No trouble here, friend." And just like that, Cluck Norris realized that maybe this bull wasn't so bad after all. Next up was Sunflower, the dreamy horse. Sunflower doesn't say much, but she's got a way of making everyone feel welcome. She wandered over to Mr. Timid, gave him a gentle nuzzle, and then stood beside him quietly, like they'd been friends forever. It was the kind of welcome that made Mr. Timid feel, well, not so timid. And then there's Junior, the mule. Now, Junior is known for being as stubborn as they come. He marched right up to Mr. Timid and gave him a long, hard look. "What are you doing here?" Junior seemed to say with his eyes. But Mr. Timid just stood there, calm as ever, and gave Junior a soft snort, like, "I'm just here to enjoy the view." And wouldn't you know it? Junior gave a little snort back and trotted off. That's farm speak for, "You'll do just fine here." And we can't forget about Not Bacon, or as some of the animals like to call him, BB Bacon Bits. Now, BB loves a bit of fun, and when he saw Mr. Timid, he knew right away that this bull was going to be interesting. BB gave him a friendly nudge and said, "Don't worry, big guy. We've got room for everyone here." Mr. Timid just gave a little smile. Yes, bulls can smile, and settled right in. And so, Mr. Timid found his place at Whimsey Woods Farm. He didn't have to be the fastest or the loudest. He didn't have to kick fences or charge through gates. All he had to do was be himself, a big, gentle bull with a love for quiet moments under the apple trees. These days, you'll find Mr. Timid resting in the shade, watching the clouds drift by and maybe munching on an apple or two. He's not in a hurry, and he's not trying to prove anything. He's just happy to be part of the farm, surrounded by animals who understand that being yourself is the best way to be. And you know what? The other animals have come to appreciate Mr. Timid way of life. Even Cluck Norris has learned to enjoy a bit of quiet now and then. And BB? Well, let's just say he's found a new favorite spot right beside Mr. Timid, where he can rest between adventures. So if you ever come to visit Whimsey Woods Farm, be sure to say hello to Mr. Timid. He might not be the boldest or the bravest, but he's got a heart as big as the pasture he calls home. And around here, that's all that really matters. Because at Whimsey Woods Farm, it doesn't matter how fast you are or how loud you can be. All that matters is that you're yourself, and that makes Mr. Timid the perfect addition to the farm. The sun is setting over Whimsey Woods Farm, casting long shadows across the fields. Wilma and Gus are standing on the porch, listening to the familiar sounds of the farm humming around them. Wilma leans forward, resting her elbows on the railing and glancing sideways at Gus, standing at the rail.
So, Gus, when are you exactly planning to go and pick up Mr. Timid from Big Sky Ranch? You said you were taking Tony D with you, but last I checked, that trailer's still sitting empty.
Well now, Wilma, I reckon I will get to it soon enough, sweetie. There's no need to rush. Mr. Timid is not exactly the kind to go wandering off, now is he, sweetie?
Oh, Gus. You know as well as I do, that if you don't get going, that poor bull will think you forgot all about him. And I promised Rancher John we would take good care of him. Tony D's already cleared his schedule, hasn't he?
Yeah, Tony D is good to go, but you know how it is. Sweetie time is never in a hurry on a farm. What is one more day? Besides, I figure Mr. Timid is enjoying all the shade of those apple trees at Big Sky Ranch.
Gus Beaver, you can't put everything off just because the farm's got its own clock. That bull's been waiting patiently long enough, and so has Rancher John. Tony said he's eager for the drive, might even bring his guitar for some tunes along the way.
Tony D and that guitar of his. I bet he will have Mr. Timid humming a tune before we hit the halfway mark.
Wouldn't surprise me. Now come on, Gus. You know you're looking forward to meeting that big old bull. He's more your speed than Junior, and I bet he'll make things just a little quieter around here.
Yeah. I suppose a slow-moving bull will be a nice change of pace. All right. Sweetie, I will head out first thing tomorrow with Tony D. You know we cannot have Mr. Timid the bull thinking we forgot all about him.
Now, that's more like it. I'll have some sandwiches packed for the road. And tell Tony not to sing too many sad songs, or Mr. Timid might think he's headed for worse than Whimsey Woods Farm, like maybe the big apple trees in the sky.
You do not need to worry. I will keep him in line. We will be back before you know it. My love!
I know you will, Gus. Just don't let Tony convince you to take the long way around. That bull's got a new home waiting for him here at Whimsey Woods Farm.
Gus shakes his head with a grin, tapping the porch rail with his hand. He knows Wilma's right, she always is. And deep down, he's looking forward to the drive, the music, and meeting Mr. Timid. Tomorrow is shaping up to be a good day for Mr. Gus and Tony D as Wilma and Gus they head in the house so they can go to sleep. The sun is barely up over Whimsey Woods Farm, casting a soft golden light across the kitchen windows. The smell of freshly brewed coffee fills the air, along with the sizzle of bacon frying on the stove. Wilma moves about the kitchen with ease, flipping pancakes and stirring scrambled eggs in a big iron skillet. At the table, Gus is nursing a cup of coffee, his eyes still half closed from sleep. Tony D sits across from him, wide awake, the plates are set, and the meal is ready.
All right, boys, breakfast is about ready. You two better eat up if you're gonna make it to Big Sky Ranch and back before dark. I packed some sandwiches for the road, but they won't keep you from getting hungry before lunch.
Sweetie, coffee is all I need right now, and I will be just fine.
Oh, come on, Gus. You're not dragging me across half the countryside on just coffee, are y'all? I did not come all this way just to hear you grumble the whole trip.
I reckon I can manage without the commentary, Tony, but fine. I will eat.
There's the spirit. You need it. Mr. Timid's a big fella, but he's not one for causing trouble. Still, I want you both in top shape for the drive. Can't have Tony here fallen asleep on the way back, singing sad songs to that poor bull.
Now, Wilma, you know me. My songs are only sad in the best way possible.
Tell that to the last pig you sang to. Poor thing moped around for days.
That is because it realized it was not as clever as nut bacon.
Look at that Gus Beaver actually enjoying breakfast without complaining. Must be a special day.
Do not get used to it.
You know, Gus, I think you might secretly be excited to meet Mr. Timid. I've heard he's got a way about him, calm, gentle. Sounds like your kind of animal.
Maybe, as long as he does not cause any trouble, we will get along just fine.
He'll fit right in, I'm sure of it. And who knows? Maybe he'll teach Junior a thing or two about taking it easy.
Not sure anything could slow that mule down. But I'll tell you this. If Mr. Timid's half as good-natured as folks say, I might have to write him his own song.
As long as it is not too sad. I do not want him thinking he is headed for anything worse than an apple tree in the shade.
You two better get going soon. Sandwiches are in the cooler, and I threw in some cookies for the ride and some apples for Mr. Timid. Just don't let Mr. Timid eat 'em all before you get home.
We will be back before supper. Sweetie, thanks for the breakfast.
Ready when you are, Gus. Let's hit the road and bring that bull home.
Drive safe, boys. And don't forget Mr. Timid's a bit shy, but he's got a big heart. Just like this farm.
With full bellies and warm hearts, Gus and Tony D head out the door, ready for the journey ahead. The sound of the old pickup truck rumbling to life echoes through the morning air as Wilma waves them off from the porch, knowing that by nightfall, Mr. Timid will have a new home, and the farm will feel just a little more complete.